Aloha everyone, this is our Hawaiian volcano summary for May 1st, 2025. Kilauea is erupting intermittently from its north vent in the buildup to episode 19. Lava has been cycling up and down in this vent, spilling over from time to time, and then draining back into the vent repeatedly here. This has been happening since about noon today, and we await the onset of further activity from the volcano for episode 19 here. This is a V1 camera, live view, looking at the degassing in between one of these cycles of rising and fall. And similarly, here we have the V2. So to show you what this has looked like, we have a time lapse from the S2 camera of the glow over the past week at night. You can see the south vent was glowing first, the north vent intermittently, and getting brighter and brighter coming till today. Where the cycles have been visible, here's the V1 camera since about noon today, showing the rising of lava and dropping down through this gas pistoning process. And a different point of view from the V2 camera, with the north vent being the one with activity presently, and the south vent still glowing, but presently not overflowing. So we have had one of the longest buildups to an episode in episode 18, following episode 17 that had very few lava fountains that were of great height. So it's uncertain exactly what will manifest for episode 19. We had in episode 15 over 100 of these gas pistoning cycles. And in episode 17, we never had the high fountains. Episode 18, we had a prolonged buildup. And so it's unclear now whether we'll have, how long we'll have this cyclic fountaining activity before the onset of more vigorous activity on Kilauea here. So we have the tilt pattern for the last 3 months visible here at the summit, with our recovery since episode 18 visible in a blue line here. And what you can see is we've not yet reached this threshold of episode 18, but we have reached the previous threshold that was established during the earlier episodes back in here. So it adds a little bit extra uncertainty. And because of that, the USGS has noted that let's see here, episode 19 is likely to start sometime between now and Sunday or Monday at the latest, if the eruption goes back to the modeled behavior. If it needs to reinflate to the episode 18 maximum, the onset of a new episode may be delayed even further beyond that. So that's the current prognosis. And fortunately, if we look at our VOG forecast, we have dominant trade winds for the next several days here. So even with a low emission modeled currently, you can see that the gas is streaming to the southwest. And with any increase in gas output, as we would expect at the beginning of an eruption, along with any tephra and Pele's hairs, those should all be blown away from the nearby communities to the southwest here for the most part. Otherwise, the volcano has been fairly quiet seismically. There's very few earthquakes compared to some periods we've seen in the past. There is some background around the summit and the south flank and Dipahala regions, as we've seen here recently. If we look at the long-term pattern on GPS, this is the distance north and south across the caldera. And since our eruption began in December here, we've stabilized into a quasi-equilibrium here, with volcano and net not really widening or shrinking in that measurement across the entire 18 episodes. Although in between each one, you can see that the volcano does contract and then extends again, contracts and extends repeatedly, following the same pattern of the tilt we just showed. This is Kilauea Summit. On the rift, we continue to see contraction of the Middle East rift zone near Pu'u'o, so there is nothing to worry about in the Lower East Rift for now. This activity is all contained within the summit in a national park as well. Here's a map of exactly where that's located. This is the most recent release from April 30th, with our eruptive vents in the southwest part of Kaluapele, the main summit caldera. That means all the lava erupted is stuck within this pit, except whatever is caught in a wind and can blow out of here, which there's been a little bit of that tephra. So here's a entire footprint of the 2024 to 2025 episodic fountaining eruptions through here. And they have calculated a new total lava volume of 23 billion gallons, or 87.5 million cubic meters. This includes a maximum lava thickness of 194 feet, almost 200 feet, almost 60 meters here. This is through episode 18 here. So that means that now, presently, this makes this current eruption the second largest volume after the one in September 2021. That one lasted 444 days, and we are, at least this map and volume was taken 122 days into this eruption. So we're erupting at a much faster pace on average, as you can see here, especially when we consider that each episode is only a fraction of a day usually. This is episode 18 here. Although when you consider that the pauses occur between episodes, each episode averages about a week. Still, you imagine 18 of these, about 5 million cubic meter episodes adds up to 87.5 million cubic meters, or 23 billion gallons. And I found this most easily seen in this time lapse from the B1 camera. This is taking one image at noon every day from the beginning of December. And our eruption site is back here in the southwest. And what you can see is the downdrop block being covered by these flows, which are onlapping and extending further and further into this pit. And the level of the crater floor also rising and being reshaped by these flows and injection of lava from below. That's the B1 camera there. On Mauna Loa, we continue to have very few earthquakes, with the USGS saying in their most recent update issued today that everything is within the expected post-eruption phase of the volcano, including lower than average seismicity over the last month, with 76 small earthquakes. That puts it still here in earthquakes per month in this very low range. That's been typical for well over a year now, following the initial recovery from the 2022 eruption. And the GPS station at the summit that shows a vertical component going up is still showing that rise with some variations, but overall still rising, showing that the volcano is swelling, refilling with magma, recharging after that eruption. And that's our Hawaii volcano summary for this week.